Hello, BBC. This is Chester Wilmot speaking from Brussels. The British Second Army has broken out of its main bridgehead on the Albert Canal, and our patrols have crossed the Dutch border. The German attempt to keep us bottled up in that bridgehead on the canal was defeated yesterday, when two British armoured columns found a way through the German defences between two strong points and struck north as hard as they could go, in the hope of seizing intact an important bridge over the next water obstacle, the canal which links the rivers Scheldt and Meuse. At the end of last week, the Germans were strongly established in 3 villages north of our Beeringen bridgehead. By holding these, they held the main road, and the surrounding country is sandy and soft and is broken by small streams and swamps, and it's difficult to get through. The Germans relied on this, but yesterday morning 2 armoured columns got through between 2 of these villages, Bourg Leopold and Hechtel, and our armoured cars managed to find one small bridge intact over a stream that would otherwise have been impassable. The bridge was barely strong enough for tanks, but one column got across it and pushed on, up the main road north of Hechtel. The road ran dead straight through a cutting, and here the Germans had sighted some self-propelled guns firing down the road, and on either side there was swampy ground. This column was halted. But meantime, the armoured cars had gone round by another route, had advanced 8 miles to the Meuse-Scheldt Canal, and had found the bridge intact, but strongly held. They radioed the news, and luckily by this time, the second column had got across the little bridge and was looking for a way through. Their maps showed a small track. They tried it and found it was now a good road built by the Germans. And so by dusk, the tanks and infantry were within sight of the canal, but they kept out of sight of the Germans by forming up behind a factory on the bank. From there, they sent out a fighting patrol of infantry and sappers to storm the bridge and stop the Germans blowing it up. In the twilight, the Tommies crept up undiscovered, raced across the bridge and down under cover of the banks to the demolition points. They reached them before the Germans knew what had happened, and at once our tanks put down heavy fire across the canal and the bridge to stop any counterattack, and to cover another force of infantry which followed through. With their machine guns still firing, the tanks charged across the bridge in their wake, fanned out on the far side, and dealt with 5 88s. These had been the main defence of the bridge, but they hardly got into action. Within an hour, we had a strong bridgehead, and the other column was coming up to make it stronger. This column had finally cleared the cutting, and then had bumped into a strongly held road junction. But they dealt with that too, knocked out another 5 88s, 1 self-propelled gun and 2 tanks. They caused such destruction that at one time they signalled back, have destroyed so many vehicles at the crossroads, which are now burning, that we can't go on. But soon they went on, and then this morning armoured cars striking north crossed the Dutch frontier without meeting any opposition. The Germans had again been completely surprised. Most of their troops were still fighting along the original line of villages covering our bridgehead, even though our spearhead was 10 miles beyond them. This deep thrust has weakened the whole German line around the bridgehead, and yesterday other columns pushed out east and north in the face of considerable opposition. The Germans fought bitterly for the main road junctions, and near Helchteren we got through only after we'd killed 200 Germans and captured 400. But by this morning, the Germans had realized that they could no longer hold us on the Albert Canal, and they were withdrawing to the Meuse-Scheldt Canal just south of the Dutch border. But thanks to last night's deep thrust, we already have a strong footing on the north bank of that obstacle.